Well, hello and welcome to another edition of the NCHC podcast. My name is Paul Gilmore, and I have the pleasure of being joined by a coach who is the defending national champion as the head coach, and she is returning with her HEA Firebirds. Her name is Christin Williams. Coach Williams, how are you doing tonight?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. It's an honor. Yeah, my kids have said, "Oh, they want to talk to Lily." No, it's going to be me this time. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course, yeah. We started this podcast about a year ago, and we wanted to obviously highlight homeschool athletics is kind of that idea, that purpose. And initially, that was a lot of the athletes because they're the ones that make it happen. But there is a lot that goes into homeschool programs being successful, and of course, a head coach plays a huge role in that. And wanted to take some time and interview someone who is a lot of times behind the scenes. I mean, obviously, you're on the sidelines, but a lot of the times you don't necessarily have, like you mentioned, the people wanting to come find you. They want to find the people holding the trophies
Right,
and things like that. So
right.
speaking of that, it must have been at least 6 months ago by my count. You were holding a giant trophy,
It was big.
the
It,
Undisputed National Championship trophy there at Drury. Um, and you guys had just come from a long run of back-to-back undisputed finals games because the year before that, you guys were playing San Marcos, and then you come back
right,
and you win the
right.
undisputed the next year. So when that final horn sounded,
Yeah,
when you guys beat West Michigan, what was
yeah.
your initial thoughts and feelings going through your head?
When the final horn sounded, I honestly, I think I was in La La Land. I felt like I was way above everything that was happening, and I was kind of watching from a dream state. Um, and I remember thinking to myself, am I feeling this? Am I all in? Like what's going on? Like get into this, get in. And I think I just sat there and I watched people for a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I could go back and look at the video and maybe I looked dazed, but I honestly I think I did feel a bit dazed. There was a moment in the game though. I did have like all the feels. And honestly, I can't even tell you when it was. I think it was in the first half toward the end. And I remember and that they were playing on my side. We were on defense, and I was watching my girls play the defense that we have been hammering into them, the man-to-man defense we've been hammering into them all season. That you always just felt like you were this far away. Like, no, we got to get a little farther. And I sat there and I watched everybody play defense with such unity. I thought we did it. Like we did it at that moment. I can honestly say I didn't care if we won or lost. I was so amazed at that point that we got to that point. They peaked during the season at that moment. It was pretty cool. Yeah, I loved it. I loved
Certainly,
seeing that.
certainly not a bad time to peak if your team is going to peak and
Right,
connect on defense. That seems
right,
like a great time to do it.
right. And I didn't see it coming, and maybe that's why it caught me off guard. They've been getting better and better. But I didn't know if we'd been over the hump of that, and we'd already peaked, and that was going to be it. But that was some incredible timing. That was their moment. So I
I
felt it
wonder,
then.
yeah, I wonder if some of that emotion of maybe not out of it, but like you said, you mentioned like dazed or just
Yeah.
kind of watching. I wonder if because so much of it is like so much time, energy, effort is put into getting to that point that when you finally get there, it's like, well, okay, like
There's
now,
not much I can do at that
right.
point.
And then I wonder
Yeah.
too if, because so much of your family was involved in that game. I mean, obviously, two daughters on the court, husband sitting next to you on the bench, Josh. That it just it's such a cool thing to see that much of your family being involved in that same singular moment
Yeah.
that you guys will have forever.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, there's just such preparation that goes into it that in that moment I wonder if you're just like, well, there's nothing else to prepare for at this moment other than just like reveling in it.
There really wasn't, and I do remember seeing Josh and Lily hugging on the court, and him grabbing Hannah and picking it up, and my feet were a little bit glued to the floor, but that was just so cool to see everybody reveling in that moment. I mean, it was pretty spectacular. I'm not gonna lie, like I'm glad it was us. I'm glad they got to experience it. I'm so happy for those girls that they put in the effort and they got to be there.
And it was against a very familiar foe for you guys,
Oh, for
conference
real.
team, a very tough West Michigan Hornets team.
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, you guys had split the season series at that point.
I don't even know what it was with them. We definitely lost some with them. We Michigan's got it a little bit backwards. We had played we do regionals first, and then we go back to our state, and the next weekend we have our state finals, and then we go and we have nationals. So we won regionals, we played them at the final there. Then we had to meet them at states, and we lost to them at states. And that, maybe that was a good thing. Maybe it was a wake up call. Like, we still got to put some work in here, girls. This isn't over. We're not coasting yet. Um, and then I think it was the Wednesday night of the week of nationals. I remember laying in bed. I had just watched some of the other teams play. I watched San Marcos play. I saw some of the others that, I knew from the prior year. And I knew who the Hornets would have to play. And I thought, we're gonna we're gonna end up playing them. Like, they're gonna make it, and now I think we might make it, and we're gonna face them again at the national level. So yes, we've been around, but they're an amazing organization. We are friends with them. And I really think both of our teams made each other stronger, playing each other and having to prepare for that game, and to work hard having to face a good team that many times throughout the year. So I'm thankful for them, and they've expressed the same to us, and we're friends. And we see them on the road during travel season, and you run over and you hug them and you love them. And yeah, it's kind of a bittersweet thing to watch them not win, but we got to win. We love them, but it's a cool friendship.
It is, and it's something that wouldn't surprise me in the least if we get to March of 2025 and those two programs are in the run, in the thick of it. And it just
Sure.
reminds me of this idea of now you're gearing up to get ready to try to do it again. And I wanted to ask you, do you feel any extra pressure of any kind when it comes to your preparation for the season, when it comes to the readiness of your girls, in terms of, okay, we just won it.
Mhm.
Is there some pressure that was lifted off, or is it add more pressure back on, knowing that you're going to go and try and do it again, and every target's pointing at you?
Sure. I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, yeah, we did do it. We did it. We've proven ourselves. And but yet you always feel the pressure of it. Josh and I always laugh before games. That feeling in your gut, you're like, I just need the game to start because it's gnawing at me, And he goes, oh, I'm so jealous. I love that feeling. I'm like, no, this is horrible. Like, I feel horrible. The game needs to start. So, um, it's a little bit of both. I actually didn't feel a lot of pressure this year going into it. And I don't know why. I mean, we had an injury coming in. I thought, I didn't know what was going to happen. Well, we just lost states, so that was kind of gnawing at me. Um, but the team is so cool. So we get a house and we all stay together at nationals. We do it for regionals and we do it for nationals. And I think what took a lot of the pressure off last year, and I hope that it will this year. The plan is the same this year. We all stay there, and these girls. This isn't even something I lead or Josh leads or any of the other parents lead, but they get together and they worship together before every game. They would sing, and let me tell you, like, these girls can sing. We're in the kitchen and we're listening, and I mean, the parents are just, we've got tears rolling down our face listening to them worship and pray together, and do devotions together, and it's so unifying, and it's that peace that surpasses all understanding, right? When you're sharing your spiritual walk with one another, it's so far beyond basketball that it makes basketball here. It takes what really matters and puts it at the forefront. And it was so cool to see them do that every day at nationals, and throughout the season too. But when you're living together 24 hours a day for that week, I give glory to God for taking that pressure off then. And I fully expect the Lord to come through next year and take that pressure off, because they really are a unit. They're a unit on the court. They're a unit off the court, friendship, and spiritually. So that was amazing. That was amazing to see and witness.
Kind of unfair that you can have a team that wins the championship and apparently is a beautiful choral voice
I,
together.
like I
That just seems like
recorded
too
it.
much
I had
talent
my
for
phone
one
around the
team.
corner, and I was recording it. I didn't. I tried not to poke my
Oh, you were
head in.
sneaky
I didn't.
recording it.
Oh, I was sneaky recording it for sure. I posted on Instagram. I didn't even care. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Yeah.
Well, and I can imagine as a parent, that's a extra special feeling too, because you
Oh
mentioned
yeah.
two of your daughters are on the team, coming
Hmm.
back again this year,
Yeah.
and I wanted to ask about that dynamic as a parent and a
Sure.
coach. Is there
Uh-huh.
ever like what are some of the challenges or some of the joys on both sides of
Yeah.
being both mom and coach?
Sure. I mean, one, I'm so thankful we get to be together. I mean, if I didn't coach or only Josh coached or only I did, I mean, we're together all the time. And I mean, maybe not all parents would want that. I love it. I mean, I love my kids. I love being with them. I can't ask for anything more than that. So I wouldn't change a thing. At the same time, uh, my fuse is definitely shorter with my own kids. When we're at practice and they're not paying attention and they're the ones starting to chat and I'll snap at them much faster than I would snap at my other kids, on the team. So there's that, and I can get under their skin faster than their friends can get under their skin, and definitely faster than another coach could get under their skin, right? Because I'm mom, you
Mm-hmm.
know. I don't even know what they call me at practice. I don't know if they call me mom or coach. Come to think of it, I don't know. Um, but I went to I don't know if you've heard of PGC
Mm-hmm.
camps. Okay,
The
so
point
I
guard
went
camp
to what's that?
is it the point guard camp? Is that what's called?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I went to one of those, and one thing I learned from one of the coaches there was, instead of coming at and saying you need to do this, you need to quit doing that, is to ask them a question to get there, to get them to get there on their own
Mm.
instead. So I'm sure I wasn't great at it this year, but that was something I tried to pay attention to a little bit more, to come at not just my own girls, but the other players with that question instead of pointing fingers and saying you need to do this or that. And I, it helps, not get under one another's skin, or not get defensive. And so, when I did it, it would help. I didn't always do it. Coaches mess up too.
Sure. And well, and whenever you guys are just like driving around
Hmm.
in the car, are
Yeah.
you talking about basketball? Are you
Oh
talking
my
about
gosh. I
game? Are you
like
talking about
we
life?
joke.
Is just a little bit
Yeah,
of
no,
everything?
everything comes back to basketball. Everything comes back to basketball. We joke about that, but it's kind of true. I mean, what life lesson can you not relate to basketball or the game or the team, or, how to play on a team? You really playing sports, I think, is invaluable, and I think it just does relate to life all the time. And we definitely bring it back to basketball.
Well, and it's a good thing that you enjoy talking basketball because you have several more years at least of being a basketball mom,
Right.
um, and obviously you have you. We were talking before we started recording. You have several high athletic kids
Hmm.
playing college level basketball, college football.
Hmm.
Obviously, Lily is committed and is going to play college basketball as well.
Right.
So when you look at that journey that Lily has been on,
Hmm.
whenever I don't know, maybe you could give some insight into when her actual ascent kind of started, if you will.
Hmm.
But I would love to kind of hear as a parent, as a mom, what
Hmm.
is it like having a kid who is playing at one of the highest levels you can play at in a sport and
Sure.
receiving a lot of the attention as well and accolades, deservedly so. But just the pressures of everything going to the recruiting process and I guess her journey, if you will.
Hmm. Um, I think she was on coaches' radars long before I realized she was on coaches' radars, like college coaches. There was a moment at one of the travel tournaments we were at. I think it was Louisville, Run for Roses, maybe. Um, and the tournament before that, she played up at the highest level and did rather well. It wasn't her normal team, but she played up and she did rather well. And I think that got her on hardcore on their radar. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm late to the game. And Josh and I have tended to be, I don't want to say we're hard on our kids, but I think we're pretty good at judging their abilities, and we don't puff it up too much. We always think, oh, they got to improve. We got to fix this. They got to get better at here. So, we're pretty hard on them, how we think about it at least. And I remember getting ready. I remember exactly what it looked like. I was getting ready to go to yet another game on the road, and I was just thinking about the previous game, and if you've ever been to these events, they're so overwhelming. I mean, there's just thousands and thousands and thousands of people. There's hundreds of courts, thousands of coaches, and you see the games that they want to watch because the whole sidelines are just filled. You can't see unless you're looking over. And the game before our game was one of those that was just filled. The baseline is kind of reserved for college coaches, and then the parents get one side and the players obviously get the other. And that game was full. There were all kinds of um, the Big Ten colleges were there. I mean, and the head coaches even. I mean, you recognize them. You're like, oh, there's Lisa Bluter. She's at the baseline there. There's U of M is down there. And I was getting ready the next day, and I was thinking back to that. I'm like, huh, I wonder why all those coaches were like at that game. And then I'm like, no, you think they came for Lily? And this is going on inside my head. And I, I'm like, maybe they did. Maybe they came for Lily. And I went to ask, I told this out loud then to Josh. I'm like, do you think those coaches came to see Lily? And he just started laughing at me. He's like, welcome to the program here, Mom, right? Like, yes, they're here for Lily. And so that was my moment to realize that she was, and that was, 2 summers ago. But that was surreal. That was kind of eye opening for me, because you just never know. It's similar to homeschool, right? You're like, are we doing our kids justice? Are we on track? Are we doing okay here? And you don't always know. And I didn't always know, but that moment I knew that she was the real deal. So um, she spent a lot of time after that on the phone with a lot of coaches who wanted to talk to her. And that was really good for her. It was exhausting, to be honest. She hadn't done it before, and having to there's no script. They're just going to ask you questions, and you have to be relaxed enough to think on your feet and, not mumble too much. And um, it was tiring, especially after a tournament. She put in probably 20 hours the next 5 days of talking with people, her coach, setting up the phone calls and whatnot. Um, yeah, so it's overwhelming. It's great. We're thankful. But that's a big reason she wanted to commit. Once you commit, you're kind of off the table for, being uh, recruited, I guess. So it's quieted down a little bit, and she can just focus on the Michigan State coaches. She talks with them a lot and is developing a better, deeper relationship with them. And that's cool to see too. Um, so it's been fun. It's been exciting. We love it. Yeah, it's surreal. It's very surreal.
There's obviously been a lot of homeschool athletes that have come before and paved the way, if you will.
Sure.
Mariah Jefferson and Tabor Spaney and a lot of
Hmm.
players that played college and
Yeah.
WNBA.
Hmm.
Do you feel any kind of, did you get feedback about her being a homeschool athlete? Do you ever have coaches ask, why she doesn't go to a public school or
Hmm.
do something different? I'm just curious of my own
Sure.
volition, if you will. Do you ever get that kind of feedback, or is it just kind of widely accepted now?
I don't know if I'd say widely accepted. I think just because people don't know, most people still don't know what homeschooling really means. I think a lot of people don't even understand that. No, like the parents literally have to do everything, or at least organize everything or make all the decisions of what we're going to do. So I haven't gotten any negative feedback. If anything, it's curiosity. Wait, so what does that really mean? Um, and it does mean a lot more for being NCAA approved. We have to jump through some hoops of filling out a lot more paperwork of getting classes approved for it, and we are we're 2 classes away, And so we're doing good. I was like, okay, we got it. Um, yeah,
So I would be remiss if I didn't include in our conversation about the game of hoops, but particularly women's basketball right
sure.
now, if I didn't mention Caitlin Clark.
Yeah,
And
right.
and I know that it's dominating the headlines right now, but when I think about Lily,
Hmm.
she is a post player, a very versatile one, but she
Hmm.
typically plays down low, getting a lot of offensive rebounds. People passing over the top of the defense to her.
Sure.
And the way the game has changed, some people would say Steph Curry, or on the
Yeah.
women's side Caitlin Clark, and you look at this guard play where they're just not afraid to bomb from anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Has that at all affected, the way, I guess, maybe not the way that Lily plays, because I
Hmm.
think she is very confident in who she is and how she approaches the game. But for
Hmm.
you as a coach, does that change the way you think about, your offensive sets, or does it really just depend more on the personnel? Like, is it unique to someone like Caitlin Clark?
No, well, hello, look back at our national game. I mean, the Hornets were hitting threes from half court. I mean, they hit. So yeah, that is not just WNBA level or Caitlin Clark level. I mean, yeah, Jaden, she was making me nervous from there. I mean, she kept hitting them. That was amazing. So yeah, that's definitely changing, and it's cool to see girls not afraid to shoot from deep and do it. Um, we definitely coach unity of inside. Get it inside, get it outside, and our team has bought into that pretty heavily. They understand that if you get the ball inside, it's inevitable. You just watch all heads turn inside. And then, either Lily can work with it. If she's one on one, of course, she's got to go up with it. And she knows if she's double or triple team, she looks around and she's, zipping it right back out for that open three. I do get on the girls a bit. I don't like them shooting that deep. I'm like, let's go for the, let's get a little bit closer there. But that's funny you brought that up though. Lily was Josh is such a girl dad. He can't say no to his girls if it has to do with basketball. And Lily wanted to go see Caitlin play, and so they drove yesterday all the way down to Indy from Detroit area, and they got to watch Caitlin play. She had picked the game where she was supposed to watch Caitlin play Cameron Brink, but
Hmm.
Cameron tore her ACL, so she's out for the season. But they still went, and Lily loved it. It made her all the more passionate to, that's her ultimate goal, right? Is to go play WNBA. Before that, she has this goal of wanting to play the 3v3 Olympic team.
Hmm.
Um, but I guess that somebody there thought that Lily was Cameron Brink, and it just made her it just made her day. She laughed pretty hard about that, but she's just thinking, I can do this. I can be a part of this. So we'll see. We'll see. She's got a big evaluation at the end of September. She was invited to go out to Las Vegas, where they've got a lot of McDonald All-American evaluators out there, and I think some Team USA coaches or evaluators out there. So she's training pretty hard right now, working pretty hard. She decided to play volleyball for the very first time, so now we're a little bit of a volleyball family, but in between that, she's training for this next big eval coming up.
I would imagine the coaches are probably salivating over her height on a volleyball court. Just being able
Oh,
to
oh yeah,
to peer
volleyball.
peer
Oh,
over the volleyball net, or
it's
just spike it straight down.
it's so unfair. Let me just tell you, it's a cheat code. It's not fair. Yeah, she started out. We kind of teased her. She's so good natured about it too. I mean, that's a big thing we talk about, and humility, right? And we say you actually right, you don't get the chance to be truly humble until you're really good at something. You follow me? Like, what
Hmm.
if you're really good, now we can be humble about it. So we have a lot of conversations about that, as she gets more and more known. But she's humble about volleyball, but she's pretty much dominating the front row of that. And we teased her. We said she had like these T-Rex arms. She was hitting the ball, like right here, and she was still over the net when she was hitting it right here. But she's starting to extend a little bit more, and the learning curve is going very fast. Let's say, yeah.
Well, she could. There you go. She could be a multi-sport athlete at the 2028 Olympics in LA. Chase Budinger.
There,
He was an NBA player that ended up playing on the beach volleyball team. So she could
hey,
do 3-on-3. She could do the
Right.
volleyball for Team
Yeah.
USA.
Yeah.
Um, I'm actually kind of bummed that they got rid of the breakdancing. That I was hoping that was going to be my in for the next Olympics, was to get in on the breakdancing
Yeah.
side, but
I don't
um,
know. I don't know. I
yeah,
saw
no,
some pretty bad memes about that. So
yeah. Well,
I didn't.
I'll leave it to the other athletes to do that kind of
Right.
stuff.
Right.
So as we're kind of finishing up our conversation, I did want to just in general highlight your program. Your shirt that you're wearing is a Firebird shirt, and we saw, you know, I've had conversations about. We talked about West Michigan and just the growth that their program has had on both the boys and girls side. And your program as well has had a lot of success. Not only obviously at the high school level, the boys have done well at
Yeah.
nationals and other tournaments, but even at the collegiate level. You were mentioning to me before
Yeah.
we started broadcasting that HEA has a lot of athletes at the next level. And so if
Yeah.
you would just maybe kind of highlight the things that your program's been able to accomplish.
Sure. So, everybody knows Lily and she's committed. Emma is she's our one of our point guards and she just got an offer to an NAIA school in Michigan. I think she's probably seriously considering it. So that was, and there's nothing greater as a coach to watch your players get this and then to be able to to talk them through some things. So Katie is another one that she was a senior and she was committed to Concordia University. And how bizarre is this? They're shutting down. This is their last year. And so she quickly kind of scrambled and she's still playing at college in Michigan and she's going to play at another one here. But to be able to be there for them and walk through that and pray with them and give them with me having a daughter who's in her fourth year of playing college, there's a lot of ups and downs. It is not all cherries at the top. It's if anything, it's harder and more wearing, and I'm excited to be able to be there for them. I'm so excited for them. I'm sure that Lila, our incoming ninth grader, who stepped up big time last year, I don't doubt that she's going to have some offers. And even Hannah, my other daughter, I really think she could have played college. She decided to not pursue it anymore. She's got some other things she's really excited about that she's pursuing, and actually to see a transformation in her to make that decision has been really cool because life's not all about basketball. I mean, we sometimes think it is, but there's nothing greater than to see these players just excel and do things they're good at, and it is beyond basketball. But yeah, we've got some collegiate players on the team. It's pretty cool. It's pretty fun.
I was going to say Lila Valentine was one of the absolute revelations
Oh
for
my
me
goodness.
at nationals this past year. I couldn't
Right.
believe every single game, just
Oh
the
yeah.
fearlessness which she kind of commanded the court.
Sure.
Eighth grader, of course, got a lot of attention because of
Right.
that. But
Right.
like you said, it was really cool to see the ladies come together and take the disappointment of the previous year and
Sure.
use that experience to finally reach that milestone of getting over the hump, and now you guys get to try
Right.
and do it again.
Right. Yeah. So there's, one thing we try to do as the coaches is that, that unity on the team is, because there's players I didn't mention here. That every team has bench players, and we we really talked a lot throughout the season of how necessary everybody is on the team, and we can't run a program without everybody. We can't run practice. We can't play basketball with five, right? I mean, we need more than that to practice, and those players don't get a shout out all the time. They don't get the asking for the interviews and that, but um, it's just everybody's so important on the team. So I just, I talk with them a lot about that during the year. I'm real open with players about whether, how much playing time they're going to see and knowing their role. And it's really, really cool to see those players own their role on the team. And a lot of those players are the ones that push some of my starters to, we call it touch the line. I think that's going to be our new shirts. We might say Firebirds, but we're going to say we touch the line. And to just, holding each other accountable to work hard at every practice. And if I see a player not touching the line while we're running, I'm going to wait till they're done and I'm going to say, let's do it again. We're going to do it again. And to see them hype each other up I tell them their role is to encourage one another, and our role is to correct the basketball things to get us where we need to be. And they own that, and I love that everybody on the team owns that. I mean, we've got the leaders on the team, and they do a lot of that, but everybody owns their role on the team, and we don't. One thing a lot of coaches might disagree with me on this, but we're not a college team. We don't have to win every game to come and win nationals, and that's not really my goal throughout the year to win every game. It's to create unity so everybody's a part of the team, and a lot of those players get more playing time, and we didn't win them all, and that's okay. But to be able to hold the whole team like that together to get to nationals was, I don't know how I got on this tangent, but that's just a cool aspect that I just wanted to give a shout out to those players that got us there.
Yeah, we were just talking about the program in general,
Sure.
and I'm glad you mentioned that it does take every piece to
Hmm.
get to that point, and you almost kind of look at it as the more reps that people get during the season, the
Oh
more
yeah.
confident they'll be when you get to those high leverage situations and those
Right.
bigger games, if you will.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you as we're wrapping up, is there anything else you wanted to add in, or anything else you wanted to mention about what's going on over in Michigan?
Not a whole lot. I'm just thankful. I couldn't do this without everybody too. I mean, I was telling you earlier, I every season I feel like I'm inadequate, to get the job done, and I rely on parents for it. I rely on my husband big time for strategy and kind of putting ideas together at the beginning of the season. So, and all the people that behind the scenes, I mean, you know what it takes. Just oh, I would totally fail at the logistics and the admin stuff, everything that goes into making a season and a program happen. I feel like I've got the one of the easier roles of I just get to hang out with the kids and encourage them and be a part of their lives. And there's a lot of tediousness that goes behind the scenes. So shout out to all those that make that happen. Appreciate that too.
Well, I know it's not quite basketball season yet, but I'm
Right.
certainly getting excited as we're gearing up for all levels. I
Yeah.
just am a basketball junkie, but particularly when it comes to homeschool hoops, excited to hear how
Yeah.
things are going in the different regions, and as we get closer to those tournaments, post game or post season tournaments, just kind
Sure.
of seeing how everything is shaping up. So
Yeah.
excited for you guys for the season coming up. We're definitely looking forward to seeing everybody get together again, and roll the ball back out there and see
Yeah.
what happens.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
All right, coach. Well, thank you so much for your time,
You're
and we'll look
welcome.
forward to seeing you very soon.
All right. Thanks.